Material latent defects. Material latent defects are a very in-depth piece of buying and selling a home, and that it comes up in many different contexts. We're going to talk about briefly the two, but specifically about one of the contexts that it comes up in. So just briefly, a material latent defect is a defect with the property that's not easy to discover on reasonable inspection, and it's problematic. Now, what defines what a material latent defect is, like how bad the problem has to be? Well, that's going to depend entirely on the context. In the real estate contract, it could be anything that affects the value or the use of the property, which is quite broad. You can have a fairly benign problem that, could affect the value of the property, because almost anything can affect the value of the property. If you have two homes that are exactly the same, identical in every aspect, but one has a little problem, one doesn't, then usually that's reflected in the value. Now, it has to be, again, something that's not obvious. So if there's a broken window or there's a big crack in it, and buyers are walking through the home and see this window with a big crack, it's not a latent defect because it's obvious. It's a patent defect. A latent defect would be like something that's behind the wall. If your foundation leaks every spring and you're selling the home in the fall, those kind of things. Today we want to talk about the definition of a material latent defect as far as RECA is concerned. RECA is the Real Estate Council of Alberta. They are a government body that's oversees, self-regulates real estate agents, and is specifically charged with protecting the public. So they really are out to help protect the public. And it's a good thing for people. So under their rules, a material latent defect is a defect, again, that's not easy to discover, that is dangerous or potentially dangerous to the occupants of the property, that would make a property unfit to live in, or that if there's a specific purpose for the property that's been disclosed to the seller that makes it unfit for that purpose. And it has to be known by either the seller or the real estate agent for that to come into effect. So this is a fairly high standard. These are like dangerous things is very different than the basement can leak every once in a while. In these cases, what the rule is from the Real Estate Council of Alberta is that the real estate agent has to disclose these problems. So if you're aware of it and your real estate agent becomes aware that there's this problem in place, that it's dangerous or unfit to live in, whatnot, maybe there's been like a mouse infestation and the health region has said it's unsafe to live in this property, then if you tell your real estate agent, no, do not disclose this to a buyer, the real estate agent is required to not take the listing. They cannot sell the house for you. If you tell them, oh yeah, it's okay to disclose, you disclose it to a buyer and they price it based on the disclosure, make sure that disclosure is in writing in the contract, but that's totally fine. It's no problem. You're not required to fix it, you're just required to disclose it. So if you have a question or concern, make sure you talk to your real estate professional, whether it's your lawyer or your real estate agent, to make sure that you know what you're required to disclose versus what you might have an option to disclose. And if you choose not to disclose one of the optional ones, what the consequences are. That's a whole other topic for another video. We'll include that here if you can find it on our website. And for material latent defects under the area, the Alberta Real Estate Association's contract that most real estate agents use.